A cold November morning settles over Berlin as lawmakers gather inside the Bundestag, the air tinged with a mix of uncertainty and determination. Germany, long cautious in questions of military policy, has crossed an unmistakable threshold. The country has approved a sweeping plan that redefines how young citizens will interact with the armed forces, an initiative that makes screening compulsory for every one 8-year-old while keeping actual enlistment voluntary, at least for now. Yet behind the political language lies a growing acknowledgement. Europe is entering a period where old assumptions about security no longer apply. Outside the parliamentary building, cameras track the moment as members of different parties file into the chamber. The vote ahead of them is a symbolic break from decades of political hesitation. As tension builds in the room, the wider backdrop, Russia's aggression, regional instability, renewed military investments across Europe creates an atmosphere in which the decisions taken today might shape an entire generation. Inside, a roll call begins. The numbers appear on the board: 323 inches favour, 272 against and 1 abstention. The measure passes, but not without exposing deep political fractures. The AfD, the Greens and Die Linke all oppose the reform. Members of the governing coalition led by the Christian Democratic Union and the SPD argue that the shift is essential to confront a new era of threats. Germany's armed forces, long struggling with recruitment shortages, are seen as needing a contingency mechanism, something between professional service and traditional conscription, to respond rapidly if national defence demands it. Under the new model, the first point of contact for Germany's young adults will be a mandatory questionnaire sent the year they turn 18. Every eligible male will be required to complete it, indicating whether they might consider joining the military. Soon after, they will undergo a medical evaluation. For those who choose not to enlist, the process ends there. For those who express interest, a path into voluntary service begins. And yet, quietly embedded within the legislation is the most controversial clause. If ever the country faces a national defence emergency and volunteer numbers fail to meet military needs, compulsory enlistment could be activated. It would be a conscription out of necessity, the government says, not a return to the universal draft abolished more than a decade ago. Outside the chamber, political analysts remark that Germany's security philosophy is transforming in real time. A country once hesitant to adopt a forceful defence posture is now accepting that circumstances may require new expectations of its youth. The vote may be only the first step. Approval from the upper house is still to come in a December 19 session, but it already signals a shift in German identity. Across Europe, similar debates echo. Just days before, in the French alpine town of Vassy-Allières-et-Risset, soldiers stood assembled during an official ceremony as French President Emmanuel Macron outlined his own vision for military engagement among the nation's youth. Cameras swept across a line of uniformed personnel as Macron stepped to the podium, addressing the future of national service with unusually direct clarity. In his remarks, he explained that the French model would begin as a voluntary programme aimed at 18 and 9-year-olds who expressed their interest during a civic event known today as the Defence and Citizenship Day. But Macron's statement carried a crucial, sobering clause, one that resonated strongly across the continent. The national service will be aimed at young French men and women of legal age who have expressed their will during the Defence and Citizenship Day, which will become a mobilisation day focusing on fundamentals. I want to emphasise here that the national service will only concern volunteers, and the corps will consist of young people aged 18 to 19. In the event of a major crisis, Parliament may authorise calling upon individuals beyond just volunteers whose skills have been identified during this mobilisation day, and then the national service would become mandatory. His assertion, delivered against a backdrop of rising geopolitical anxiety, left little doubt that France, like Germany, is preparing for scenarios once considered unthinkable. The shift across Europe is drawing global attention. For years, discussions about national service were treated as relics of a bygone era, but Russia's war in Ukraine has jolted the continent's defence posture, reviving conversations that many believed would never return. in NATO corridors, concern is mounting about personnel shortages, aging equipment across member states, and uneven military contributions at a time when threats are becoming more unpredictable. Germany's move, though controversial, is interpreted by military planners as part of a broader recalibration, one that prioritizes readiness, rapid mobilization, and the capability to respond when deterrence alone is no longer sufficient. Back in Berlin, young people react with a mix of curiosity, confusion, and apprehension. Some say the reforms offer a chance to rebuild discipline, unity, and national responsibility among their generation. Others fear that the new framework is a disguised pathway toward compulsory service. Interviews outside universities reveal divided opinions. Some believe Germany must adapt to the new European security environment. Others worry their future will be shaped less by choice and more by political necessity. Military officials, however, see the reforms as overdue. For years, the Bundeswehr has warned that its personnel numbers fall short of operational needs. Recruitment campaigns have tried to appeal to young people by highlighting training, technical skills, and career opportunities. But interest has not kept pace with the demands of a modern defence force, especially one expected to support NATO allies and respond to crises beyond Germany's borders. Recruiting 8-year-olds through a mandatory screening process is seen as a way to expand the pool of potential volunteers while still maintaining a professional, motivated force. As policymakers explain, the process will be designed to minimise disruption. Medical exams, psychological assessments, and skill evaluations will help the military identify individuals suited for service. Those who show strong interest may be guided into specialised training or roles aligned with their capabilities. Others may pursue civilian alternatives aligned with national contribution programmes. But in an emergency, the entire machinery could shift toward conscription, triggering compulsory training and deployment for those who meet the criteria. The debate, both political and social, now revolves around whether this delicate balance between freedom and obligation can survive real-world pressures. Across the French border, Macron's announcement reverberates. His country's own voluntary service programme is set to launch in mid-2026, framed as a response to the same growing anxieties gripping Europe. French officials emphasise civic responsibility, discipline and unity as core aims. Yet the underlying message is unmistakable. In times of major crisis, the government must be able to mobilise more than just volunteers. Macron's acknowledgement of a potential mandatory phase in extreme situations mirrors the logic behind Germany's new law, suggesting a Europe-wide trend in redefining the relationship between society and national defence. International observers note that both France and Germany are central pillars of Europe's security architecture. Their synchronised approach toward youth mobilisation could influence other nations facing similar demographic and military challenges. Countries like Sweden and Lithuania have already revived forms of conscription. Finland never abandoned its model, citing its geographical position near Russia as a constant reminder of vulnerability. Now, with Germany and France moving toward hybrid systems, the question arises whether a broader continental shift is underway. Inside policy circles, the conversation extends far beyond recruitment numbers. European leaders are confronting a generational dilemma: how to prepare young citizens for an era in which democratic societies may once again require collective defence. For years, the assumption was that Europe could rely on diplomacy, soft power, and professional militaries staffed by volunteers, but recent years have dislodged that belief. The new German and French models reflect a pragmatic recognition that defence cannot be sustained without societal participation. Back in Berlin, as soldiers participate in ceremonial duties under grey November skies, the implications of the Bundestag decision sink in. The law is not yet final. The upper house vote remains crucial, but military planners already envision how the new system might function. They study recruitment projections, analyse demographic data, and evaluate training capacity. If the law takes effect on January 1, the procedures may begin immediately for those turning 18 inches the new year. Meanwhile, political opponents continue to argue their case. Critics warn that compulsory screening infringes on personal freedom. Others fear it marks a subtle step toward full conscription. Opponents in the Greens and Die Linke stress that modern security challenges require diplomacy, technological innovation, and international cooperation, not expanded military structures. The AfD voices a different critique, framing the plan as insufficient and demanding more radical reforms. In contrast, supporters argue that flexibility is essential. They insist the measure is neither a return to the past nor a signal of aggression, but a necessary response to the realities of contemporary security. Young Germans increasingly find themselves at the center of a national conversation they did not initiate. Social media carries debates about responsibility, identity, and the meaning of citizenship in a changing world. Some view the reforms as an opportunity, a chance to gain skills, discipline, and civic understanding. Others fear the loss of autonomy, questioning why their generation is being required to navigate obligations their parents never faced. But as defense experts remind the public, the threat landscape of the 2022s is far removed from the post-Cold War optimism that shaped earlier decades. In European capitals, security analysts track both the German and French proposals closely, considering how they reflect broader global trends. Nations around the world are re-evaluating their defense frameworks, from Asia to Eastern Europe to the Arctic. As great power competition intensifies, governments are seeking ways to ensure steady manpower, rapid mobilization, and resilient societies. Germany's emergency mechanism and France's conditional mandatory service in crises illustrate a rethinking that extends beyond military readiness. It touches civic culture itself. As days progress, the debate expands into households, classrooms, and community centres. Parents discuss the future with teenagers who will soon receive questionnaires from the government. Teachers incorporate discussions of civic responsibility into classroom lessons. In cafes and on public transport, conversations drift between curiosity, scepticism, and the lingering awareness that the world is shifting in ways no one fully controls. For now, Germany stands at the edge of a new policy era. The Bundestag vote signals intent. The upcoming decision in the upper house will determine whether the law becomes reality by the start of the new year. Meanwhile, France prepares its own model, echoing themes of volunteerism, civic duty, and, if circumstances demand, national obligation. Across the continent, the message is unmistakable. Europe is preparing for an uncertain future. What was once taboo in political debate has become central. The young generation, stepping into adulthood at a moment of rising tensions, will inherit policies shaped by this era's fears and ambitions. As soldiers stand in formation in Berlin and Wasses Alliés et Risset, the symbolism of the moment is clear. Europe is rearming not only its militaries, but also its expectations of the society they defend. The world is watching closely as Germany and France, two of Europe's most influential nations, chart a new course. Their decisions may shape not only their own citizens' futures, but also the collective security posture of an entire continent. Whether this shift strengthens Europe or divides, it remains to be seen. But for now, one truth resonates through every speech, every parliamentary vote, and every moment of public debate. The era of taking peace for granted has ended, and the next chapter will require choices no longer deferred.